Here I have our 60 FPS bullet camera facing a fan. This is toggled at low speed. This is what the iPhone sees when I look at this fan. It's pretty fast. The camera has a controllable shutter rate that you can control using a PC. I have the camera connected with a cable. You see this blue cable, it's going directly into the back of the NVR, and the NVR is connected with an HDMI cable to a monitor. And then I have a USB mouse that I'm using to control the recorder, network cable connected to my switch to get internet. You don't need to have this. This is actually, it'll still work if you're disconnected because the camera connects directly with an Ethernet cable into the back of the NVR. And here's the power supply to the NVR. Now, this cable is these are PoE ports on the back of the recorder. You can have these NVRs in denominations up to 32 channel if you want it. And they connect using one Ethernet cable. That's all you need. On the back of the camera, there are many different connections. All you need to do is just use this Ethernet connection to power the camera. Ignore all the other ones. They're not needed unless you're a pro and you know what you're doing. With the camera comes a junction box, some accessories in there, Allen key, weather grommet, etc. Also here, you get a mounting template for the junction box on how to screw it in, and also some mounting instructions in this pamphlet right here. So this is what comes inside the box. Now let me tell you how to set this camera up. When we usually ship these to you, if you buy them all together, we'll configure the camera to work with the recorder. This camera can be even used for license plate capture, but in this application, we're looking at something fast moving for industry process monitoring. So something being manufactured at high speed. This camera has been set to 60 FPS and a shutter rate that's high as well. So if I look at the video being captured by the fan, the shutter rate is 1/250 at this moment, and this is what the camera sees. So if you compare what my iPhone sees, basically it's all blurred out. You cannot tell the difference in between the blades of the fan versus what the camera sees. It's a combination of the shutter rate and the high 60 FPS that this camera offers. Now, when I do turn on the high shutter rate, what happens is the infrareds on the camera turn on. That's why the video is black and white, because it's trying to illuminate the view. Now on my laptop, I am connected over the network to that NVR. I can actually manage the NVR through here as well. And these are just to document certain settings we put the camera to, just to remind us and the customer who's receiving this product. These are the encoding settings we put. We found this to work flawlessly without delay and or skips. There is a 4 terabyte hard drive for prolonged recording. This is only to get into the camera itself. So to change that shutter rate, you actually have to pull into the web interface of the NVR. So what you do is you type in the IP address of the NVR into a web browser, and then you sign into it using a username password, like I'm going to do that here. We recommend purchasing compatible recorders with your NVR purchase to make sure that it's easy to manage, view, and record and play back your video. And also, if you like to have phone access, to be able to do that as well. These are also standalone. You don't need to have internet. If you don't want to, then you can just use the NVR connected to a monitor. But to control finer things like shutter rate, you do need it on a network locally, at least, to be able to manage these settings. So what I'm going to do here is go under the add device option or remote device and pull up the channel list. And then it gives me this little web page icon here that I can click and open up on my Windows computer to access the camera setting. Now, the camera has its own password. Once I enter that in, I can access the camera's web interface and view video, of course, being played over the network. But then also go into settings and then change video encoding settings such as frame rate and total bitrate, etc. In live, you may see, because you're encoding so many frames per second, the HDMI output on the NVR may skip sometimes, and that's perfectly normal. But when you go back and play back recorded video, you'll find fluid video. Now on the NVR, I will show you a little bit later on how to set certain settings, but going to the frame rate here, when you go under conditions in the camera, you can actually go to exposure, and we set it to manual and 1/250 for the shutter rate. I can go in even on a faster shutter rate, and as you see, this video will darken and you can see the blades finer and finer. You need to strike a good balance of what you're looking for. If you put the camera on a regular shutter rate, this is what you'll see, just like the iPhone was, but at over 1/250, you're able to see things kind of in motion. So that's what the shutter rate provides. And then in the encoding settings under video, you have the ability to toggle the frames per second, and we set this camera to 60 FPS. You can see this same page for encoding settings on the NVR if you use your mouse, and then you right click and then go to main menu. It may ask you to enter your password if you're not logged in already. I'm already logged in. Go to remote device and then here camera settings. You can see here different settings for either if you want to do image flip, etc. And then you can do encode, and this tells you the frame rate and the resolution the camera is set to. Leave it at these settings, please. This works well. When we ship the NVR out, we set it to 720p. If you want to change it, you go to System, then you go to Display, and here you can change it to either 1080p or if you have a 4K monitor. We suggest do not do 4K, stay at 1080p maximum, because there's a lot of overhead of displaying 60 FPS video from the camera. We have a full guide on how to use these Avalonix Premium Series systems on our website. So this is a 4-channel NVR, so it offers a 4-camera grid view. And then the video also shows you on the online how to do video playback. So you can actually skip ahead and view your recorded video, etc. Thanks for watching.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.